first victim of the cancel culture 12 years ago before it became a term. And I laughed at them. I said, but you're the ones who scream for tolerance and freedom of speech. But as you know, they're hypocrites in Hollywood, makeup artists, whatever, saying very quietly, like we're doing a drug deal or something, say, thanks for being a voice for us. So well, stop being afraid. Be a voice for yourself. And they go, well, we'll get blacklisted like you. And I said, look, I'm still working. Hollywood's not calling me in for big budget movies or big TV shows anymore, but I'm still doing movies that make a difference. People need to fight back and not be afraid. And that's why I do the movies that I do. And I'm just going to keep fighting a good fight.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest is one of my favorite actors in the world. He's been the star of some incredible and legendary movies and television shows. He's been the star of God's Not Dead, Let There Be Light, Soul Surfer, and he is Hercules himself in a previous life. I'm speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Kevin Sorbo. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on, Nikki. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. So, Kevin, I know you really well, but there may be some people that have been living under a rock and don't know who you are or don't know your full backstory. So tell us your backstory.
My backstory? How far back do you want me to go?
As far back as you want.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to when I was 13 years old. I grew up in Minnesota, second generation Norwegian boy. Grew up in a Lutheran church, typical of all the Minnesotans at that time. There's a lot of Andersons and Thompsons and Olsons in the phone book. Sorbo is Norwegian. A lot of people don't realize that, but my mother's name is Thompson. When I was 13 years old, let me at least say ahead of them, I've been a Christian my whole life. I don't remember not being a Christian. I don't remember not believing in God, not believing in Jesus, not believing any of that stuff. So I didn't go through any of those kind of reborn phases. But when I was 13 years old, we went to Billy Graham came to the St. Paul Fairgrounds.
Cool.
That was early 70s. That was right in the, that was Billy Graham. That was at his peak for the Reverend Billy Graham at that time. And there had to be at least 300,000 people there. Our church alone, I had 7 buses that took off there. It was a hot August night. The full moon was out. The mosquitoes were having a wonderful feast on all of us. And Billy was speaking, and I was so moved by his speech that at the end of it, something I normally wouldn't do, he said, I've got a lot of volunteers up here. Please come up if you want to receive God, you want to receive Jesus, you want to just talk, whatever. And I went up there, and I don't know why. I just wanted, it moved me so much. But I remember sitting on the ground. I was 13 years old. The guy across me was probably in his early 30s. So as a 13-year-old, I thought he was like a really old guy, right?
Sure.
So all of a sudden, a hand goes on my head. I turn around to look up, and it was Billy Graham.
Wow.
And he was surrounded by his bodyguards and stuff, his protection, of course. But the full moon was right behind his head, perfect, like these moonbeams coming out of his head. And I remember just being blown away by that. And he talked to me, asked me my name. He prayed for me. And I told that story in the Larry King show years later. This is after I became famous, I guess, with Hercules and Andromeda and starting doing all those movies I was doing. And I told him on the Larry King show. And the Reverend Billy Graham saw that show. He called up his PR people. They got a hold of me, and they said, look, they're doing a hardcover book from Chicken Soup for the Soul for the Reverend Billy Graham. Because Chicken Soup for the Soul was always paperback. They never did hardcover, only for the Reverend Billy Graham. So they asked me to tell that story in that book. So I'm in the 101 stories in there. I'm in there with Sister, Mother Teresa. I'm in there with presidents. I'm in there with, it was as a 13-year-old kid. And then they called me up and they said, he loves the movies that you're doing, the faith movies that you're doing, with the outreach that you're using to reach more people. Would you be willing to, he can't get around, he's in his 90s. Would you be willing to go out there and publicize the book for him? And I said, are you kidding me? I'll definitely publicize the book for him. So that was like at that age, at 13, when that happened, that was huge for me. And we also had a youth pastor named Pastor Lee. So from 13 to 18, from junior high school through high school, Pastor Lee was a youth pastor, and he was a cool guy because my main pastor, Sandus, scared the heck out of me. This guy was really scary to me. He was much older, but he was like, breathing is a sin. It was really this guy scared me. But the youth pastor, Pastor Lee, was huge for all of us kids. And every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock at night, it was for all the junior and high school students to hang out with this guy in a place we called The Room at our church in the upper level where some of the Sunday school rooms. And this guy was huge for me in my growth, and just I could kind of relate to him. And he made the Bible relatable to us. We brought it into today's world. It wasn't like sticking way in the past 2,000 years or more ago. It was bringing the Bible, this story, how it applies to us today. And that was really educational for me in a lot of ways. So that kind of all just stayed with me. And then, of course, when I, got into college, I kind of knew I wanted to be an actor. I had a double business major, but I minored in drama, started doing a lot of commercials. A lot of people don't realize Minneapolis is home to a lot of big national headquarters for Best Buy, Target, 3M, Pillsbury, General Mills, A&W. I mean, it's all these. So I did a lot of commercials during that time to get that all-important Screen Actors Guild card, of course. And then I got segued a little bit. I joined a theater group down in Dallas, Texas. Then I traveled to Europe. I was going to spend 3 months in Europe just to see it before making the big move to LA to pursue my dreams. Well, 3 months turned into 3.5 years. So I was completely sidetracked in my goal to become an actor. But what I did is I joined agencies in Paris and Milan and London, and I did a lot more commercials. I did some print stuff, but really I was doing a lot of commercial work. So to me, it was just, I like being in front of the camera that way and doing commercials. It was fun. Finally moved to LA. I'm in LA 3 days and I book a commercial that shoots in Sydney, Australia. I'm there 3 days. I already had a commercial agent. That was easy to get way before I moved to LA because I sent my reel to all the agents. They all wanted me because I had a good reel and I already had my Screen Actors Guild card. So I get out there and I go to Sydney, Australia to shoot this commercial. I called my agent and said, I'm staying down here. I stayed down there for 8 months. And I did 2 plays and shot 7 commercials and just had a blast. These were like growing stages for me. These were like made me grow up. I finally moved to LA and I started taking acting classes, started getting more and more little roles here and there. Murder, She Wrote, The Commish, Cheers. Then I did a couple pilots that I got my first leads in to get picked up. Then, of course, Hercules hit. And that was supposed to be 1 year in New Zealand. Well, 1 year in New Zealand, halfway through that third movie, we shot 5 movies, 10 weeks on each movie. I got to work with the amazing Anthony Quinn that entire year. I know the younger people don't know what Anthony Quinn is, but for those of you who don't know him, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, he was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He was Lawrence of Arabia, Guns of Navarone, all those things. He was nominated 6 times for Oscars. He won twice. So I got a whole year working with him and having dinner with him every Saturday night and hearing all these great old stories. And by the third movie, Universal Studios called up, we love this. There's nothing like it on TV. You're going to stay down there and make it a TV series. Well, by season 3, and Nikki apologized for the sin of pride, but we became the most watched TV show in the world by season 3. And it ran, 176 countries. It ran for 7 years. And the only thing that made it end was me. I got an offer to do Andromeda, which was the first show ever created by Gene Roddenberry after Star Trek. I was a huge Star Trek fan. So my captain, Captain Dylan Hunt, was the first captain ever created by Gene Roddenberry after Captain James T. Kirk. So that went 5 years. And then I just started doing a bunch of independent movies. And that's kind of led me to where I am now. But what happened to me 12 years ago is my agent manager of many, many years called me in and said they couldn't work with me anymore because I'm a Christian and a conservative. Honest to God. So I am the first victim of the cancel culture 12 years ago before it became a term. And I laughed at them. I said, but you're the ones who scream for tolerance and freedom of speech. But as you know, they're hypocrites in Hollywood. And they live in a bubble just like the DC morons that we keep putting in office for some reason. And I said, that's fine. That's fine. I'll form my own company. I formed Sorbo Studios. So go to sorbostudios.com. All kinds of information on there, on myself, my wife, and all the things we have going on. And we've been doing a bunch of movies since then. A lot of independent producers come to me. But it really started with movies for me like What If? God's Not Dead, Soul Surfer, Let There Be Light. My 2 most recent ones that I directed in theaters last year, Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist, and Miracle in East Texas, true story set in 1930 about the largest oil find in the history of the world. And it's been an interesting and amazing ride, but this is the road that I think God put me on. And I used to get stopped all the time through airports and hotel lobbies about Hercules or Andromeda. It's now almost all the time. please keep making more movies. Let there be light. We love what you're doing. That's what people stop me for now. So I know the road that God put me on is a whole new road for me, and it's the road I'm supposed to be on.
God bless you for having the courage to fight back and defeat these cancel culturians. And it's incredible. In the 50s, they were screaming their heads off about HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee, and saying, oh my God, this is such a terrible thing. They don't want to let good Americans work because of their political beliefs. And what they accused Joe McCarthy and good patriotic Americans of doing back then, they are doing scaled up by a factor of 100 today. It is disgusting. It is horrible. It is un-American. And it makes me think that Joe McCarthy had it right back then. We should have gone after every single one of those commie bastards, excuse my language, and gotten rid of them and made sure they never worked again, because then we wouldn't be in the situation we are in right now.
Yeah, everything they do when they blame, it's called deflection, right?
Yeah.
Everything they blame everybody else on, they're already guilty of.
Yeah.
And what they've done to this country through COVID, through fear, through all this stuff, for the movies that they're doing, is on purpose. It's planned. They are the Marxists. They are the communists. They're like the Chinese government. Their government is controls their people under communism. That's what our government's even doing now with Marxism. But the government itself lives under the rules of capitalism. I mean, the Chinese government loves all the money flocking into them. They love all the stuff that people are coming to them to make their products. And we got to wake up. I mean, the sheep are going to be the sheep, but I keep telling the lions to wake up. I get people on my movie sets the last 6-7 years, whether it's another actor, a camera guy, a makeup artist, whatever, saying very quietly, like we're doing a drug deal or something, say, thanks for being a voice for us. So stop being afraid. Be a voice for yourself.
Amen.
You go, well, we get blacklisted like you. And I said, look, I'm still working. Hollywood's not calling me in for big budget movies or big TV shows anymore, but I'm still doing movies that make a difference. And here you are working on my movie because you want to work too. So don't be afraid. But the only person you're supposed to fear is God. It's in Proverbs. Check it out.
Amen.
But other than that, people need to wake up and stop being a sheep.
Amen. I had a client, he's a personal trainer. And when he came to work with me, he wasn't doing so well. And within less than a year, we helped this guy go from making $3,000 a month to making $30,000 a month, which is fantastic for a personal trainer. And he stayed a client of mine for 2.5 years. Good guy, really like him. And then a little while ago, he just stopped returning my calls. He started ghosting me. And every once in a while, I just check in on him, what's going on. And then finally, I said to him by text, because he wasn't picking up the phone, dude, you're not returning my calls. I don't know why. But I want you to know, over here, it feels hurtful. And I don't understand it, but this is my way of saying goodbye and completing our friendship. He texted me back almost immediately saying, I'm sorry, you're right. He said, we need to talk. And then when we spoke, he said, look, I just got to tell you something. I like you. You're a great guy, but my clients are mostly left-leaning. And you're very public about the fact that you're not left-leaning, which is very true. And if I get associated with you, I'm going to lose business. It's going to hurt my company. So I'm happy to be your friend. And if you want to know the truth, I agree with you. But I got to keep my mouth shut because I got a strong growing business. And that saddened me that that's what he thinks and that's what he believes. Because I made a decision in my business that I want to work with right-leaning people, with conservatives, with Christians. And if somebody doesn't want to work with me because of my political beliefs, so be it. But unfortunately, that's the world that we live in right now. And it's why my good friend and your good friend, Wayne Allen Root, and I teamed up in 2021, and we wrote 2 books. One of them is called The Great Patriot Protest Book. I think I have it over here. Let me see if I can grab it and show it to you. This was the first book we wrote. It's a list of companies that are woke for us to boycott. And then we wrote the Great Patriot Boycott Book, which is a list of companies that are patriotic. And
love it.
Donald Trump endorsed it, which was pretty cool. He doesn't know who I am, but he knows Wayne. So I tell everybody, hey, Donald Trump endorsed my book. So there you go. And it's a beautiful thing. We got to stand up for what we believe. If we lose freedom here, there's no place for us to run to. I'm from Iran originally. I had a place to run to. When we left Iran, we could come to the free West. But if freedom disappears in the United States, there'll be a curtain of darkness that'll descend on humanity for at least 1,000 years. That's what I believe.
Well, there's me.
There you go.
Golfing with the president. Golfing with the president right there.
Awesome. I love it. Fantastic,
Hanging
man.
out with the Trump. I live here in West Palm Beach, and I met Donald when he was just not the president back in 2005. We golfed 3 days together, and since I moved out here, I've been to Mar-a-Lago many times. I got to be the MC at the Lincoln Day dinner at that event, and we've had many chats. And I agree with what you say, because it blows my mind that I don't believe you and I harbor the same kind of anger and hatred to somebody who has a different point of view. It's amazing that they're almost like little 7th grade girls in a junior high school that just want to, they're insecure, and their egos and all this kind of stuff, and all this. It's so immature to me to say, well, I don't want to be with you anymore because I don't agree with your politics. I don't care. Let's have a conversation about it. Tell me the points about like Joe Biden that you find so amazing. And most of them can't even begin to answer that, So it's weird to me that we have to go live in a world right now that's so filled with anger and hatred and divisiveness. And this is all planned. It's been coming on for decades. It's just accelerated on itself. And it really started with Obama being president. He's the one who brought racism back into fashion for some reason. I didn't think about racism back then. All of a sudden, this guy comes in and everything is racist. And now we're indoctrinating our kids in our public schools and in our universities. Look, when a guy like Bill Maher comes out, I don't know if you saw this, because I'll follow him every once in a while. He said last month, don't send your kids to American universities. He said that.
He's right.
I mean, honestly. Well, he's more of a JFK Democrat. JFK today would be a Republican.
Yep.
I tell people to look at his 1960 inauguration speech and name one congressperson that holds the same beliefs that JFK has.
Not one of them. That inaugural speech gives me goosebumps. Pay any price, bear any burden to ensure the survival and success of liberty. Man.
Yeah. And ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yeah. We don't have enough Republicans saying that.
Heck, I think he's to the right of Donald Trump, JFK, personally.
I mean, it's crazy what we're doing in this world right now. And it's going on. And people need to fight back and not be afraid. And that's why I do the movies that I do. And I'm just going to keep fighting a good fight. And, you got people attacking you. I got people attacking me. But a lot of these people, I guarantee you, if I did a documentary on Antifa or any of these people, take their bloody masks off because they're a bunch of cowards is what they are. They're strong in numbers, but they hide their faces. They're terrorists. Those are terrorists. They can walk down the streets. They can burn up cop cars. They can attack businesses and people with baseball bats and tire irons. Meanwhile, and then we let them go after one day of being arrested. But we got Trump on trial for a misdemeanor. Are you kidding me?
It's ridiculous.
There was a guy on CNN. You know who he is. He's very famous. I cannot remember his name. He came on CNN yesterday. And they showed it. And he said, if it was anybody other than Donald Trump,
Fareed Zakaria.
That was it. He said this would not be a court case. And when you got CNN admitting to that, and it's amazing this is going on.
Well, I think we need to be vigilant, and we need to make sure we got lots of good poll watchers and all that. There's not to let down our vigilance for even 1 second, but I think it's becoming just about impossible for them to even steal this election right now if we keep vigilant.
I don't know. As long as you have mail-in voting, then there's always going to be voter fraud. There's no way that Biden got 15 million more votes than Obama did in 2008. Are you kidding me?
No.
This guy stayed in his basement the entire darn COVID. The few times he went out, 50 people showed up. Trump still went out and 50,000 people showed up. He had 100,000 people in New Jersey this past weekend. 100,000 people. And you're telling me Biden got more votes than any president in the history of the world? Give me a break. I'm going to scream.
He got more black voters than Obama. That's like, that part alone was like, whoa, there's just no way. There's no way, man. Yeah. The guy used to be buddies with segregationists from the South. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
I know. He did not. Biden did nothing when he was in Congress. Nothing. I kept saying, what did he do in his 40 years other than just take our taxpayer dollars to pay himself? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Nothing whatsoever. But I think it's going to be harder for them to engage in some of the shenanigans that they did last time. I mean, Georgia just passed a whole bunch of election integrity laws. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than what was in place in the 2020 election. I don't think he's winning Georgia. I think it's going to be very difficult. I don't think he's going to win Nevada either. There's a Republican governor in Nevada, and they're really far ahead in Nevada. I'm pretty confident that we're going to win North Carolina. Arizona, they got a Democrat in charge. They might be able to steal that one, but it'll be difficult.
Yeah, but she didn't win that one either.
She didn't. She stole that. For sure she did. For sure
Cherry Lake won that one easily. So I'm saying the cheating is unbelievable to me. It just goes, all the swing states closed down at the same time on 2020. Why? Oh, we're having issues. Oh, yeah. You just flopped hundreds of thousands of votes the other way. I mean, Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules shows you visual evidence of people voted for.
But on our end, the Republican side, we need to be vigilant. We need to be on top of this. We need to do everything to make it difficult to impossible for them to do this. And last time we didn't. That's the bottom line. We got to take some responsibility on our side for not being ready enough to deal with this kind of shenanigans.
Yeah. Well, they tried to do it with Hillary. Hillary almost got in there. And the only reason why she didn't is that they underestimated the number of people that were going to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, no, there's no question that you're right about this. I'm glad that you're making the movies that you're making, Kevin, because I think it's important. I've become friends with Roger Simon. Do you know him?
I know the name, sure.
So he was a Hollywood screenwriter. He's been nominated for an Academy Award. And after 9/11, he became a conservative. He was the founder of PJ Media. And, he's a pretty smart guy. He's working on a number of projects on the side. Now, he's in his 70s right now as well. And he lives in Nashville area in Tennessee. But there's a lot of great stories that I think we can tell and we should tell on our side. I've been watching Last Man Standing with Tim Allen, right? That's a
great show. We've seen all the episodes. My wife and I love that show.
Yeah, I bought it on DVD, so they can't cancel it. So I got it forever. I've been watching that. I think that's been fun. And I just think to myself, there's some really great conservative stories ought to be told. Ronald Reagan has never been properly acknowledged by Hollywood. I mean, they made a CBS movie in which they tried to make him look like he was a racist. It'd be great to have some conservatives make some movies that would show what Reagan did to help us win the Cold War. I think that'd be a fantastic.
We did it.
You did?
Comes out in late August. I'm in the movie. Dennis Quaid plays Reagan. I play his pastor.
Come on. Are you serious? That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Releases in theaters August 30th. We got
okay. All right. I'm going to make sure I take 20 people with me. So that'll be great. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So check it out. We actually got one of the movie premieres here coming up this when is it? In 2 weeks here in West Palm Beach, where I live in Florida. We did it, and it's coming out. So
God bless you, brother.
It's from the times he was like in high school until his death.
I love it. Wow, I can't wait to see that. I'm going to probably see that 5 or 6 times. I mean, that's exciting.
There you go. We need the world to support it, and it's a good time for it to come out just before the election.
It'd be cool to, the story of Whittaker Chambers, witness. He's the he was a communist who became a Christian and moved away from communism and said, I'm leaving the winning side to join the losing side, but I have to because I'm a Christian now and I can't be on this side anymore. And that trial with Alger Hiss, I mean, that could make for some riveting television or movie making. It could be cool to do a movie about Richard Nixon from the point of view of the CIA coming in and taking him down through Watergate, because he said, I know what really happened with Kennedy. And Tucker Carlson's been talking about that on his shows. These are the types of stories that I think could be really, really great for movie makers like yourself to start putting out there. And I think that there's a massive market for this. I interviewed Amanda Milius a little while back, John Milius's daughter, who made the Plot Against the President, right? And she said to me that the market for normal movies, non-woke movies right now is massively underserved, and people that are going to make good stories and are not trying to bash a particular point of view down your throat, they're going to do really, really well. And I think she's right. I think this is a massive business opportunity. And I'm sure you're seeing that yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, the independent market has really picked up. There's a lot of wonderful people that want to do indies and not be associated with Hollywood. Through my site, if people go to sorbostudios.com, sorbostudios.com is a great place to go. A lot of information on there, not only my stuff, my wife's stuff, and we have stuff together as well. But I did a movie called Let There Be Light that my wife actually wrote, and Sean Hannity funded it. Well, Let There Be Light did very well in theaters. I get a call. This came out in 2018. We're up against Thor Ragnarok, okay? A $300 million movie in opening weekend. They're in 4,000 screens. We're $2.3 million budget. So their catering budget was probably bigger than our budget for the movie.
Wow.
So we opened number 2 per screen average. I get a call from Netflix Monday after opening weekend saying, hey, we want to open an inspirational division and have you run it. And I said, great. Well, I had 4 meetings over 4 months. Ultimately, their ideology is so screwed up and so insane that they decided they didn't want to do this. And I said, there's 80 million homes that want the kind of movies I do. You can scream socialism all you want. You're a capitalist business. It's amazing to me that your ideology is so filled with hate and anger towards Christians and conservatives that you'll bypass this massive audience that is underserved, like you just said. But I do want to say, August 2nd, I do have another movie coming out that I'm doing a lot of promotion on, actually starting right now. It's called The Firing Squad. So people go to FiringSquadFilm.com. That's FiringSquadFilm.com. It's a true story. I play an American guy that was over in Indonesia when he was in his 20s surfing. He got very jealous of a guy that was hitting on his girlfriend. He attacks the guy, ultimately kills him, gets arrested, gets the death penalty in Indonesia. And during his 30 years in prison, he found God and became a pastor. True story. And he saved many, many inmates there, bring them to Christ, and to guards as well. And that near the end of the movie, because there's more to the movie than just my character, Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it as well. At the end of the movie, when he faced the firing squad, he would not take the blindfold. And he looked straight into the eyes of the guys with the guns pointing at him. He says, God loves you, before they shot him.
Wow.
And this happened in 2015, so it's a recent story.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to see this one. This sounds fantastic.
It opens August 2nd. If you go to FiringSquadFilm.com, you'll see all kinds of great information on it. You'll see testimonials from people coming out of the theater, because we've had screenings across the country, and people just absolutely loved it. People are weeping and crying and say, this is what we need, because this movie has redemption and hope. And that's what this country and this world needs more than anything else right now.
How much money would it take to start a conservative version of Netflix that just makes movies for normal people?
It would take a lot of money, but they can start easy with me, because my movies are like $3 million range. I know that sounds like a lot of people, but that, like I said earlier, Hollywood does these $200, $300 million budgets. So I do movies that make a difference in people's lives, and I see that every day on Sorbo Studios. People, Muslims saying, "Look, I became a Christian because of your movies." So this has been an amazing blessing that I've been part of this world right now, doing what I'm doing.
God bless you for doing what you're doing, man. I've seen a lot of the movies. Let There Be Light was a fantastic movie. You did a great job in it.
Nikki, you need to see What If. What If is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's the same writers that did God's Not Dead. It came out a couple of years earlier. It's directed by Dallas Jenkins, who's doing The Chosen right now. And What If, in my book, I've shot over 80 movies. It's in my top 3 movies. It's a better movie than God's Not Dead. But once again, you don't have the power of money behind it to get it advertised everywhere. So we need word of mouth to get these movies out there. I highly recommend What If to everybody listening right now.
Well, what we got to do, Kevin, is we got to find a rich conservative billionaire that we can get in front of to persuade them to invest $250 million in a studio like this with you at its head. I think that would be.
What I got the product right now. I got amazing scripts. I've got not only that, those 2 movies coming out. I got 4 movies in post-production right now. I got 3 more lined up, and I got 3 documentaries coming out that'll all come out around Christmas time. One deals with the Last Supper, and it's called Eating with the Enemy. It's going to be an amazing, amazing life changer.
Man, I'm going to watch all of these. And I'm going to help you spread the word. But we got to get some people on our side with money to start making it.
We do. I don't know why there's so many billionaires that are liberals. I don't get it. I shake my head and go, what is going on with this stuff? It's weird to me. And I'll tell you what, I get in trouble for saying this. I don't understand anybody who says they're a Christian can vote Democrat when every election, if it's not the number one item for liberals, it's at least number two. It's about killing babies. They love abortion. They love killing babies. And I look at these people that sit there and say they're Christians and they're okay with that being part of their party platform. It's amazing.
But listen, there's plenty of Christians that are conservative, and there's plenty of billionaires that are on our side. There's got to be a way to get in front of some of them and have an enrollment conversation about getting them to do the right thing and help leave a legacy that is going to last beyond their lifetime. And one of the things I happen to be pretty decent at is persuading people. It's one of the things I teach in my regular business. So I'd be happy to have a conversation to help get someone like that to give you some money, because you should have $250 million plus behind you to do this sort of thing. I wrote a book with our mutual friend Wayne. I wrote the book. It's a novel, and it's something that honestly at some point should become a movie. But even the great Wayne Allen Root said, "There's a couple things you need to change in here, man, because this could get us into trouble." And I hear him and I get it. And at one level, he's right. At another level, a part of me goes, screw that. I just want to put this out the way it is and let the chips fall where they may. But the world that we live in means for some people that isn't necessarily possible. So
yeah. Where are you based out of?
I'm actually in Toronto, Canada. I'm the most American Canadian you're ever going to meet.
I was gonna say, if you said anything about being an American, I said, yeah, but you're Canadian first, because I've heard the way you pronounce a couple words.
There you go. Absolutely, I am a Canadian, very proud of Canada, but I'm the most American Canadian you're ever going to meet, because the philosophy and principles that guide my life are that of Jesus Christ and that of the founding fathers. More than anything else, I think that.
Well, explain to me how your prime minister gets reelected, because that guy's a nut job.
He is not going to be reelected anymore. He was reelected with a minority government twice. He actually lost the popular vote. In Canada, Conservatives have won the popular vote in the last two elections, but it was concentrated in too few seats. So he won more seats than the Conservatives did. However, right now the Conservatives are leading the Liberal Party by they have 44% support. The Liberals have 18% support. So it appears, according to the polls, that the Conservatives have over a 99% chance of winning 2/3 of the seat in the next Parliament, which means that the Liberals are gone and we're going to have a good Conservative government here in Canada. A lot of the craziness that he's brought into policy is going to disappear.
Fidel's son is just an evil guy.
I agree.
There's no question about it.
I agree.
Anyway, I got to run, buddy.
Great to see you here, my friend. Thanks for coming. Before you leave, give us your top 3 pieces of advice in bullet point form.
My gosh. Eat your vegetables. Don't let fear control your life. And don't let anyone set your limitations, especially yourself.
God bless you, Kevin. Thanks for your time. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.